This is A View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today is Tuesday, the 2nd of November, 2021, and my name's Davy McGimsey. On this week's show, we look back at 2 wins, 9 goals, only 1 conceded as the Giants bounce back from league and cup form from the previous weekend. We are going to look back at a thumping win in Nottingham. We're going to look at how we've seen off the Challenge Cup group, Player of the Month. We're getting down to training where Simon talked a few of the players. And Jeff Mason is going to answer your TFA questions. But without further ado, it's 5 past Panthers. Time to get going.
There it is.
So let's start straight away with the anniversary, never forget anniversary game from last weekend, which fantastically Paul Eadie and Aaron Murphy. The first thing I really should do is introduce my very good friend, Simon Kitchen. Good evening, Simon.
Hello, David.
This is going to be a disaster. You know, remember the last time Paddy took a night off and Hitchy did it years ago and he was never allowed back. Joel, straight from Inver Park.
Yeah, we obviously don't talk football on this show. Had the score been what it was 5 minutes ago, I'd be talking football on this show. But I think you were just too excited to get straight into it, Davey. It's never forgive, never forget season. The Giants did the business for you. There's a lot to cover, so don't blame me, mate. We
asked Kieran Long last week to do us a solid, and my goodness, did the boys come up trumps. So let's get straight to Lower Parliament Street, and let's talk about the game. Obviously an absolute blowout for the Belfast Giants. 5-0, started 29 seconds into the game. Paddy's going to roll VT, 29 seconds in the game with a goal from JJ Piccinich. Little funny bounce off the boards, and that was followed up with goals from Scott Conway, Slater, Doggett, Mark Cooper, and JJ Piccinich rounding it out for a 5-0 thumping away win in Nottingham. Sis, initial thoughts on the game?
Davey, it was our best game of the season. I thought from top to bottom, we were outstanding. I thought all 3 sections of the ice, we just covered it very, very well. Support from both the forwards, the wingers coming down to help out their D-men. Besco, another shutout from him. They're just, I don't think you could have made the performance any better, to be honest. Well, you probably could have by scoring another 5 goals past the Panthers, but it was just a solid performance. Getting that lucky bounce after 15 seconds was massive. It sort of deflated that big blur in the corner quicker than what it normally does. You could just see the shoulders of all the. We're just watching here on YouTube now, and you can just see the demeanor and the shoulders of the Panthers players straight away going down and behind the black ball. I thought we were solid the whole way through. I thought that, as I say, we started from the back end going forward as a unit the whole night. And, we made some nice plays. We scored some nice goals, a couple of passes, a couple of apples from Tyler Soy we're left to drill over as well. So, look, again, there's not a bad way of beating the Panthers, but it'll be a very tough ask to go in there next time because they will be right up for that game. I don't even know when it is. I haven't looked forward to the diary, but again, solid the whole way through the lineup, and a special mention for Mason and Stu on the bench for the game itself.
Yeah, obviously Adam Keefe missing the weekend through COVID-19 protocols, but hopefully see him back in the rink not too distant future. Joel, fast from the Belfast Giants, slick passing out of their own defensive zone right through the ice.
100%, Davey. And before I get on to that, we talked a lot about, the need for the Giants to respond following sort of a less than impressive weekend last week. The word after that 3-0 defeat in Manchester for the next night, the cup game in Dundee against Dundee in Belfast from Adam Keefe was respond. Didn't maybe get that on the night, but listen, timing is everything in sports. And if you give me a choice between the Giants responding to a Dundee Cup group game with our place more or less tied up, or the first road game to the Nottingham Panthers on the NFNF week, this is absolutely just fantastic. As Simon says, performance of the season so far. And I think the Giants' speed out of the traps really caught Nottingham off guard. For me, this game was defined by doing things that we maybe weren't doing so much the weekend before. I think pretty much every one of those goals came from net front presence. The boys were going to the net. They knew where each other was going to be. I mean, that says mentioned Tyler Soy. I think Tyler Soy announced his arrival during this game. His second one specifically, him and Mark Cooper knew where each other were going to be for that goal. He laid that back from behind the net. Coops was just on the edge of that post getting ready to snipe it. Just top to bottom, an absolutely fantastic performance. And could you have picked a better weekend for it? Delighted me.
There's a couple of things that I know Paddy maybe doesn't join in the conversation as much, but I'll forgive myself for doing this. I love face-offs. I love the whole drama around a face-off. I love the tactics involved in face-off. And if you're watching on YouTube or you get to watch the game back, whatever, our very first goal, it's underrated how much of a play Cam Knight makes. The muscle, the forward out of the way, they allow Reinhardt to go round the wall and up I think it's Goody going up the left wing. Just that getting the winger buy-in if you just can't quite win the face-off clean. The boys bought in, and the speed from, going through. And although we scored 5 goals defensively, shutout for Tyler Beskorowany, he says.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just when you watch the play, you talk about, Joel was talking about that Coops goal. Just watch what he does. He just creates the space for himself. He does know that Soy's coming around behind the net and it's going back to where it came from. Kevin Carr just didn't have a chance. He was already at his left post looking for him to come around, and he's probably still standing there waiting for him. And, the little drop pass, Coops just puts his big back end out, pushes a couple of Panthers out of the way. Solid goal. But we talk about how good we were. The Panthers were poor. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think, I know their coach said, and fair play to Tim Wallace, he came out and he said, they just didn't get going. They just, they didn't have any oomph. They didn't have anything for the game itself. A real honest interview from him after the game. And we just dominated, absolutely dominated them. I don't know what the shots on goal, Davy. I didn't catch it there when you came out, but just watching that 5th goal, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Welsh that followed Piccinich up the wall. Came back down again, cut through the circle. Welsh just gave it up. He just gave it up. If Welsh keeps on going on the trajectory that he's actually skating alongside Piccinich with, he doesn't get a chance to cut into the middle of the net. And for me, the coach would be absolutely raging with that. And we talked about it the week before last when we get beat 3-0 by Manchester, and the previous week that Manchester were humped 8-0 by Fife. Teams don't like being embarrassed. That was an embarrassment for the Nottingham Panthers. They went out the next night and beat Cardiff in Cardiff 3-0. Cardiff went out the next night and they were 4-0 up against Coventry, which we'll talk about briefly later on. Those things really do hurt a team as a unit. And again, from our side of things, coming off the disappointing result the previous week against Manchester, and okay, we had the game against Dundee in between, but solid performance. Honestly, I was sitting watching it in Premier Sports in the house. I don't think it could have went any better. It was brilliant.
So as Simon asked the question, there are 42 shots for the Belfast Giants, 37 saves from Kevin Carr, who actually at times in the game stopped it being a lot more than 5 goals. Tyler Beskorowany, 26 shots shot out. But as Paddy's left on the agenda here, I'll throw this to you just to finish, and Simon's kind of answered it as well there, Joel. How much was it Giants being excellent, Panthers being bad, or did we just impose ourselves so early and quick in the game that we just never give them an option to get in?
Momentum is everything. You talked about the Giants' speed out of the traps. That Panthers team were not ready for the speed and for that first period. It was maybe 10 minutes into that game before the Panthers managed to hold up an odd man rush from Belfast. We were pouring forward, and I think the ice just began to tilt. Honestly, I think you're right. Carr, especially in the first period, he stood on his head. There was one moment towards the end of that first period, he got a leg down to an absolutely certain Mark Cooper goal. A stunning save. But listen, you play what's in front of you. Belfast went into a very difficult building. We have had tough nights over there throughout the years against good Panthers teams, against poor Panthers teams. It's not an easy place to go, especially on a Friday night game, big arena game. And you play what's in front of you. The Giants executed. They were clinical. They were speedy. The only thing, if I'm allowed to say it, the only one thing I would have liked is a power play goal. We obviously had nearly a full 2 minutes at 5-on-3 in the third, and obviously the power play is just kind of maybe a little slower to kick into life than other facets of the game. The penalty kills looking healthy, whatever else. But you really, that's me being picky. You cannot fault a 5-0 win on the road.
Then we moved back home for the following night, and it was a 4-1 win against the Fife Flyers in the last home game in the last series of the group stage of the Challenge Cup. Scott Conway, Lewis Hook, Jordan Boucher and Mark Cooper with the goals. Jackson Whistle conceding 1 with 16 saves. The refs, Chris Wells and Andy Dalton. Well, close out game, Simon, in the Challenge Cup, but the Giants look strong against very lackluster Fife.
Yeah, the first 40 minutes anyway, I thought we looked very, very good. Fife didn't really give us any problems. Third period, I think the coaching staff will be a wee bit disappointed with conceding a goal. It's a bobble and pocket centre ice. I think it was Longer tried to kick it away. And it unfortunately just went sort of through his legs. Your man, fair play to Anderson, he put the Jets on and pushed through for the first and only goal for the Fife Flyers. But again, we scored some nice goals against Fife, and you played them 4 times this season. We've beat them 4 times. It's been a difficult start to the Flyers this season, and but the 3 games previous, I think it was 14 goals they had scored in the 3 games previous. So they were firing. They obviously got a big win over the Manchester Storm. Then they beat Dundee. And again, coming into Belfast after, we talked about it before, the 5-0 win over the Fife Flyers, you just wanted to try and bring that momentum in to the game in Belfast. And I actually thought we did that. Solid performance again. Jackson pulled off a number of his saves, and Shane Owen played out, did, at the other end as well. But at the end of the day, that's what goalies are paid for. You say about pulling off massive saves. That's exactly what they get their wages for. So it's a weekend that, the week before there was a few of us a wee bit down the dumps. Some people were a wee bit more annoyed than others, Patrick. When we come out, I'm sure, Paddy would have been absolutely delighted with the performance on Friday night. And I know he watched the game on Saturday night on the webcast as well. So yeah, it's a solid win. We've got 7 wins out of 8 in the Challenge Cup group. It's been spot on.
Joel, as the goals spin through here on YouTube, do you want to talk us through a few of the goals there for the people at home?
Yeah, absolutely. First goal was Scott Conway, worked his way in close. Pretty much an easy finish, to be honest, past Shane Owen. I have to say, I understand what Sis is saying. I agree with him. I feel for Shane Owen, though. He's still a quality goalie, making good saves, and I think limiting a lot of damage at times with that Fife side. And to be honest, personally speaking, if we didn't have the opportunity to bring back a championship winner in Tyler Beskorowany, I'd have been quite happy to see Owie back in Belfast. He's a top lad, and he's a good goalie. But it was then 2-0 at 16:27. And again, to me, this is Lewis Hook on the score sheet again. Love to see that. Lewis Hook's goal season has begun in earnest. Doubled up just again for me with solid net front presence. The Giants were going to the net and good things were happening. There was just so much traffic in front of Owen, and to be honest, we've seen it throughout the season so far. That Fife defense just doesn't really offer a great deal. The second period at 32:52, we got a goal on the power play, I believe. Jordan Boucher tucked home at close range, and Scott Conway, Piccinich with the helpers on that. And then just a couple of minutes later, Mark Cooper added a fourth from a Griffin Reinhardt pass out of the zone for 4-0. And then, to be fair, as we say, James Anderson pulled one back at 49:11. I think there was a bit of a neutral zone turnover, and he kind of ran riot, bit of a solo breakaway to pull one back for Fife. But then they promptly took a hook and call, I think at 51:30, which really killed the momentum. But look, our hard work was done on Friday. It was a great night in the arena. There was a great crowd in. It was obviously the Giants' special Halloween night, which is great. That a lot of people, I think, came and had a great night and had an entertaining game in front of them. But we were just playing comfortable hockey with the pressure off, and you could see it. I think we once again routed a team who are just still not at the races.
Says it was a second opportunity for the coaching staff to get young Kel Beatty into the lineup, and about 5 minutes of ice time, he didn't do his prospects any harm at all.
Oh, again, I was hoping he would have got a wee bit more, to be honest, with the game the way it was. And yeah, okay, I know he wanted to win it. Absolutely get that. But the kid hasn't let himself down in the ice time that he's got so far, and he's 17 years of age. There's a long, long way to go in his hockey career. He's got the right attitude. He needs to keep working hard. There's potentially other kids, maybe about the same age, maybe a little bit younger, who are dreaming of the same thing. And becoming Belfast Giants or professional hockey players. He's getting good coaching in Solway. Obviously, he trains with the Giants all week, and then he travels over to Solway on a Friday. Spud Grubb and Jamie Thompson are doing a really good job there, and Spud Grubb coaches the under-20 GB team as well, and he was close to getting into that lineup as a 17-year-old. So he's going the right way. And Max Stewart, again, another great prospect, and again, when he played a few weeks ago against the Fife Flyers as well, You know, again, he didn't look out of place. He looked, you know, he looked at it that he was comfortable there. He was doing exactly what the coaches and his teammates are telling him as well. But listen, this is a big thing. You know, they have a lot of hard work in front of them, and I know the Belfast Giants fans like to see one of their own play. It's one of the best feelings that you can have, being from Belfast and watching kids from Belfast coming through. But this is a professional league. It's not, and it was said it before, it's not a development league. They need to keep on working hard, whether it be in Solway, whether it be in Leeds for Mac, whether it be with the way the GB teams. They need to be working hard and twice as hard as anybody else to get noticed to play at that level. So I wish them all the best. Again, Kel did very well in the minutes that he got on Friday night. And again, hopefully that's not the last time.
And Joel, obviously 8 games for the Belfast Giants to finish top of their group, and whatever it was, it's 60 games played league-wide to eliminate one team. But the Challenge Cup sort of way it's run aside, it's been an okay, you know, we talked about this during the week on our own little WhatsApp group. It's been a kind of glorified pre-season for everybody, not just the first couple of weekends before you got, and there's maybe an argument to say just to front load the season with the Challenge Cup and forget about the league until the group stages are completed, because you can see the disparity already. I think whenever they put the tables up at the start of the Premier Sports game, Sheffield Steelers like 10 points, 8 games or something, Belfast Giants 2 games after, you know, 4 weeks this season, week 5 this season. But, you know, a good positive finish for the group stages.
Yeah, look, you have to be realistic. You know, we don't unfortunately get the luxury of like a month-long preseason camp here with the number of developmental games or whatever else. You know, the boys, and especially this year with obviously the way things shook out post-lockdowns, you know, the boys were coming in a couple of weeks to sort of get to know each other, get to know the systems, get a feel for your line mates. So I'm not a big fan of the Challenge Cup format. I've said it before, like it's too many games. I think the format needs a bit of a shake-up. Too many games for the fact that this year, without Glasgow's involvement, only one team dropped out, and it literally, I think, came down to like a single point, 2 points between Manchester and Fife. So it is, though, it has been this season specifically a good way to get the legs under the boys to start kind of playing proper opposition, because as much as you'll go hard in practice, nothing really compares to playing, you know, an opposition team who are playing full tilt against you, full physicality. So it definitely served its purpose, and for me, it's job done. And if you don't mind, Davy, you know, I don't think we can mention Kel Beattie and the debut of local lads without giving a shout out to James Nelson. I don't know if you were going to maybe come to this after, but James Nelson, the young lino who got his first game in the EIHL. Kid's been around the arena as long as I can remember, since he was a wee boy himself. Worked really, really hard at learning the trade and getting in with the refs, and really, really lovely to see him get his first experience of Elite League action, and long may it continue. Listen, you say it. I think you say it quite often, Davey. The game doesn't happen without the stripies. So fair play to him. There's not many people would put on those stripes and put themselves in the lion's den like that. But I felt really proud of young James. He's a great kid, and he deserved it. Simon,
I'm sure you know this kid from the Ice Bowl.
Referee, man. I don't really pay much attention to this kid.
Come on. Be nice. Be nice. Look, Mike Hicks might listen to this. Might not.
No, look, he has. He's been around a long time, and you know, he's been doing the penalty boxes at the arena and stuff as well, building that up, and he does the kids' games when they play as well. So it's great. Look, we bring Vitas up from Dundalk for games. He came up at the last minute. What happened was the 2 linesmen missed their flight. So Vitas was rang and asked to come up, and Vitas is just not long back from a really bad knee injury. You know, it's great to see. And then he took a slap shot as well. You know, I'm not sure where it caught him, but let's just say it was uncomfortable. I was talking to him after the match, and he was okay. So great to see James get his opportunity. Hopefully it's not going to be the last time. You know, it's always good to have local officiating, because if they can maybe just show a little bit of a positive trait towards the home team, then that's great. I'm not looking for it, but you know, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes they're maybe a little bit harsh on maybe decisions that you think that would have went your way. So it's the officials are very, very important for our game. So great to see him get his chance, and he certainly didn't let himself down. I thought he had a good game.
I don't think Andy Dalton ever got that memo. Can we pass that on to him?
He doesn't listen anyway.
Give us a touch, Dalton.
He listens to the show, but he doesn't listen to it. He actually came over to me. Was it before the game? So it was before the game at the weekend Sunday, because I can't even remember. He came over and said, he says, remember you pointed, you give me a bit of a rollicking after the match the last time I was here 2 weeks ago, and I says, well, it's sort of standard to give you, I'm not afraid to say to you had made a mistake. He says, you were right that time. And I said, what do you mean that time?
Ooh. Way to take it gracefully.
Over and said, you were right that time. I mean, thanks very much, Andy. It's all appreciated. But, I don't normally say to unless I'm right. Like,
there you go. 10 man has a heart after all. Like,
well, highlights of that game are available from Belfast Giants TV, and thanks to Premier Sports and Giants TV for the goal footage from both the games from the weekend. And now it's time for Simon's weekly run down to training to talk to the boys.
JJ, weekend, another 4 points. Coming off the back of the previous weekend, the Manchester away form, disappointed with the performance and the result. You must have been very pleased with the result and the performance after Friday night's game in Nottingham.
Yeah, definitely. We were coming off a weekend that we weren't too happy about, like you said, and we had a really good week of practice leading up to Nottingham, and I really thought the guys played really well.
Saturday night again in Belfast. Actually, come on, I want to rewind about a little bit. 2 goals for yourself. Talk us through that first one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first one's definitely a bit of a gift, but we always talk about going to the net and getting pucks deep. And usually you don't get rewarded as good as that, but, we'll take it. We'll take that kind of start to the game. So all around good stuff.
Quickest goal for the Giants this season, and I'll have to ask Davy and Jim for the quickest goal for the Giants from the start of the game for quite some time. Fife on Saturday night. You've already played them a few times this season. We've been successful about them and against them so far. Another game that you just wanted to carry Friday night's form into.
Yeah, definitely, and I thought we did a good job of that. Fife we've had their number a bit, but they've put together a couple wins before us. I know that weekend, so. Something we didn't want to take for granted, and I thought we did a good job playing our game and not playing to anybody else's level. And we're not going to worry about what they're doing; they're going to have to worry about what we're doing. So we dictated the game well.
Couple of days off, bit of a fancy dress party for the boys. All looked fabulous, by the way. And then heading into this week, you've got Sheffield and Glasgow, 2 teams that you haven't faced so far this season. You looking forward to the challenge?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Sheffield has kind of made their way to the top, it seems like, in terms of games we want to be circling on the calendar. So we're definitely excited for the challenge, and it should be a good weekend with Glasgow coming here as well.
Come on, JJ.
Thank you.
Royal Troon.
Yeah.
Played there before?
Yeah.
Yeah?
A couple of years back, yeah.
Good course?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. You looking forward to getting a few more rounds in Belfast?
Yeah.
We'll have to get them sorted for you. Last weekend, first trip to Nottingham for you. Mm-hmm. Best team performance this season?
I would say so. Yeah. We didn't give up too much defensively, which is kind of our goal going into every game, to kind of limit good scoring chances for their team and not turn over pucks at blue lines and in areas where they can go back on the attack. So I feel like we did that really well, and we just let our speed and our creativity take over in the offensive zone to get us chances. We didn't try and cheat for any offense, and I think that's the key to how we play.
You play with Coots and Soisy well, basically the weekend itself. Soisy come up with a couple of nice dishes.
Yeah, he's got some serious vision, so it's nice just trying to get open, because he'll find you. So that's all me and Coops are trying to do. Just we're gonna try and grab the puck down low and find him, and then get open. He'll find us.
Back in Belfast on Saturday night against the Fife Flyers, you carried the form from Friday night into Saturday for the first 2 periods. Third period, did you take the feet off the gas a little bit?
You know what? I in the room we all talked about ending the weekend well, and we definitely wanted to win that period. I thought we came out hard, and we still played pretty well. We couldn't find the back of the net, and kind of one mistake. I think we turned it over at the offensive line. They came down and scored. So it was just kind of maybe a mental error. I don't know, but. Yeah,
I'm not having a go at you.
Yeah, no. No, I personally didn't think we played too bad in the third. Yeah. Just kind of, we really wanted to win that period, and it didn't happen. So we'll keep that in mind for this weekend to never let our foot off the gas.
4 point weekend though, finishing top of the group in the Challenge Cup, and now it's literally concentration on the league action. First trip to Sheffield this weekend for you. Another tough opponent coming up. What have the boys told you? What sort of atmosphere? What sort of game do you expect?
Everyone's saying they're a really aggressive team that'll make you pay if you make mistakes. So we just got to execute the whole weekend, and kind of, if they're aggressive, we got to come at them just as aggressive, and maybe take the play to them.
Looking forward to the challenge?
Yeah, absolutely.
Top man. Cheers, Slater.
Cheers.
Lewis Hook, you can take your mask off. We're far enough away from each other. Okay. Hookie, the weekend, very impressive performance on Friday night against the Nottingham Panthers. Give us your view on that first game.
Yeah, I think obviously coming back from the weekend before that in Manchester, we weren't happy with that. We had a hard week of practice, and then I think we took that into the game, had a great start, and then just kept the ball rolling. I think defensively it was the best we've played in a long time.
Back on Saturday night, you carried that momentum into the Saturday game against Fife. I know, quick goal, obviously got the game winner. But again, an opportunity for guys to get extra minutes with a few fellas out of the lineup. Yeah,
definitely. I think I was one of those guys that got a few extra minutes, which was nice. And like you said, we just kept the ball rolling from Friday night. I think although the Challenge Cup kind of it was kind of already done, we kind of want to keep this ball rolling and keep winning and getting the points.
After a couple of days off, which is the first time in a while, you get up to much?
Not too much. Little FaceTime with you the other night. Yeah. I wish I could remember.
Hi, Dicko.
What's he talking about now? What is he talking about?
Here. What about Dicko's birthday?
It's his birthday. He's 35 today.
34. I look better than you.
Don't look a day older than 30, mate.
No, I really don't. Feel it though.
Right, we'll carry on with this interview if that's okay.
What are you doing?
Doing an interview with Hookie.
Oh, because it's going to go.
This weekend, 2 more games this weekend. Away to Sheffield, you face them for the first time this year. Always a tough opponent.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you're looking down the league, I think they're definitely going to be one of the favourites for the title. So it's important for us to go and first time playing each other. Put a good performance in, and especially on the road, and just keep this ball rolling, really.
And then Sunday against Glasgow, back in their first game as well, and SSE Arena.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first time we'll see them as well, and I think it's their second game maybe of the season. So don't really know too much about them at the moment because we've not seen them in action, but I'm sure it'll be an exciting game back at home.
Talk us through the footwear. What's happening?
Straight out of bed, mate.
Cheers, Hookie.
Cheers, mate.
And thank you to Simon and to JJ Piccinich, their Doggett, Lewis Hook, and of course, happy birthday to the legendary Andrew Dickson.
What a show stealer, man.
Dicko's just a class act. Like, he's funny. Honestly, and I know you've obviously we've listened to him a few times on here before, but he's just lightning quick. Proper lightning quick with a wit. But no, it's always good to have a chat with Hookie as well. So, and the boys.
And it's time to move on to something that we've missed doing for a long, long time now. It's the Phonacab sponsored AVFT, the prestigious, it's the big trophy, the AVFTB Player of the Month Award. And this month's 4 nominees, by the magic of hopefully Paddy in the background. First up, number 8, Belfast Giants official Supporters Club sponsored Lewis Hook. Number 10, Lockton sponsored Scott Conway. No, 3rd, Jordan Boucher, sponsored by Harry Corrier Interiors. And last but not least,
give it some.
Number 34, Tyler Biscarani, sponsored by JK Coaches.
Nice.
There you go, Sid. So let's have a look. Who's your vote going to, Simon? Or talk me through the nominees.
All very worthy, and I think Hookie's had a good start to the season. 3 goals in October. I think. Was it 2 of them game winners, Davy? Definitely 1 game winner. You got the game winner at the weekend. I think he had another one as well. Conway, to be honest, I thought Scotty's been great since he came in, and I can't argue with Jordan Boucher either. I'm really, really liking his game. Best go with 3 shutouts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very tough ask, but I'm going to go with Scott Conway. I said at the start of the season, I think this kid's got it. I think he's got the potential to score. I actually think he's got the potential to score 30. He knows. He just knows where the target is. He's got the hat-trick against Coveney a couple of weeks ago. He just seems to be scoring at least every weekend anyway. So long may it continue. But my vote this month goes to Scott Conway.
Joel, give me that sort of looking down to looking up thing they're doing there on screen before we start.
Well, thankfully I've got a beard that hides all those chins, mate, so I can comfortably do that without you seeing it. but I just, I don't have the jawline of these boys. That's for everybody watching on YouTube. Watch the show on YouTube, by the way. It's good.
And yourself, obviously, the 4 nominations. Is there anybody else you would have threw in there as a nomination, or are you happy enough? And who's your vote going to?
I have been big on Hookie since he came back. Lewis Hook is back, I think, with a few more kind of tools on the belt. I think he's back with a bit more kind of offense to his game this year. I think, to be honest, the notable omission there would maybe be David Goodwin, who has been, for me, a model captain and all over the ice since he came back. I am helping out a little bit with sort of socials and game day bits and pieces of media this season, and I feel like I barely go 10 minutes without seeing that gif of Scott Conway with the stick in his teeth. So he's just been prolific offensively. He's had an absolutely sensational start to his career as a Giant. Jordan Boucher reminds me of Darrell Lloyd, and I'm always going to love him for that. And Besko, it's a bit unfair on Besko because you almost just expect him to shut the door just because of who he is. But he doesn't get my vote because he's cost me 60 quid this month. So
it's just 30. It's only a tenner a shutout, is it not?
I'm in for 20, mate.
All right, well, I just double that. You just doubled what you were there. Don't have it on the spreadsheet. Talking of which, very quickly on that, that's up over £400 already. So thanks to everybody who's donated there. I'm looking at the notes here to see if whether Paddy's going to put his vote up. But like anyone from that Scott Conway, David Goodwin, JJ Piccinich line could have taken it. It's interesting that in a month where goals at times were at a bit of a premium, that no one on the defensive end of the ice has really been mentioned apart from Besko. I like Lewis Hook in that there's been games where we've had players out and Lewis has had to step up a line and play power play, play special teams, get double his ice time on any given night. Like from Friday night to Saturday night, his ice time probably half, but he puts the same in every shift. He keeps going to the net there. That goal that we scored, not sure, it was probably the last one that Piccinich scores, is made longer, drops the puck off to Hookie in his own defensive zone, and he goes right up the boards, round behind the net, strong, through a couple of forechecks, and dishes it off to Piccinich, who does the rest. So Hookie's been really good, but it's hard to look past goals. Goals win games, and Scott Conway has been going in, and his goals have been in that dirty area. He goes in there and gets his nose dirty, and gets the wee tips and flicks in and around goal. He's like that first one against OE on Sunday night, where his stick's in the right place at the right time. The wee feed goes in and he puts it top shelf. So yeah, I'll be with Simon there on this month. I'll be looking. My vote will be going to Scott Conway. But voting opens at 9 a.m. Wednesday morning and will continue to 5 p.m. on Friday. And we'll hopefully get that trophy handed out at the first home game possible on Sunday against the Glasgow Clan. And a massive thank you to Simon the Phonocap for sponsoring that trophy as always. And look forward to doing this on a monthly basis going forward. Now it's time to move on to the bit we all love doing, getting somebody in from the club to talk to. And this week, it's the new interim head coach, Jeff Mason. Hey, coach.
Hold on, sorry. Just
all right, mate.
Welcome back to the show, mate. It's good to see you, mate.
I wore that for you, Joel.
Always good to have you on, mate.
For those not watching on YouTube, Joel can explain Mace's outfit here because it means nothing to me.
Just a couple of boys were really good taste in sports teams, and I hope Paddy's enjoying his night off. We know Mace is a good Boston boy, good Red Sox boy. Close but no cigar this year, but impeccable taste in sports teams.
So let's get on with the what we're here to talk about. And Mace, last weekend, due to COVID protocols, obviously Adams missed out on the trip to the Nottingham in the home game, and yourself and Stu have stepped up. Was that an enjoyable experience to kind of be the main man for the weekend?
Yeah, it was because we won. If the results had gone a bit differently, maybe not so much. The boys made it quite easy on me, certainly Friday night, getting off to a lead 20 seconds into the game and then just rolling from there. So, yeah, it was certainly they made it a lot easier than it potentially could have been. But no, it was fun and certainly just trying to do my bit to help the team.
It couldn't really get off to a better start for you on Friday night, Mace. You've got a goal handed on a plate to JJ Piccinich after 15 seconds. And I was talking to a couple of boys at training this morning, but it was in my opinion, it was the best performance of the season. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was, certainly like you said, we got off to a good start. It's something that we've tried to preach all year. And in some games this year, we've gotten off to a really good start, but we haven't been able to get a goal, and we've controlled all the play. And then, if the other team's able to get one, it really changes the whole complexion of the game. So getting out to a good start, obviously we didn't, draw it up to score 20 seconds in or whatever it was, but the hope was to get out and get an early lead and play from the front, because it's much easier to play from the front. So full credit to those guys. They were able to do that. And, lucky bounce or not, you make your own luck in this game. And it got off on the right foot, and it just continued from there on.
Miss, we talked about it just before you come on to join us here, and I spoke to you briefly about it after the game against Fife at the weekend. But for me, one of the standouts of the weekend was Tyler Soy. I feel like he's really announced himself onto the team with those couple of kind of no-lookers to set up 2 goals. You had kind of said not just Tyler, but his line mates were really a standout this weekend.
Yeah, I thought that line was key for us. And if they can continue in that kind of form and have that kind of chemistry, we'll be in really good shape. I thought the previous weekend in the Dundee game, they were probably our best line, and they carried that on and had an excellent weekend, both in Nottingham and then home versus Fife. So, as we talked about there after the game, Tyler got off to a little bit of a rough start and had the injury and wasn't, didn't have the chemistry. And so it's always tough when you go into a new place. And if you don't get off to the best start, sometimes people can't, sometimes people can't climb out of that. We knew he was a skilled player coming in, and we were told that he could do those kind of things. So it was nice to be able to see him go out and do that. And I thought that line was really a catalyst for us, last weekend. And if they can continue to bring that, I really like our chances.
Mace, would it be fair to say that's probably one of the first sort of 60-minute performances of the season? Happy that the boys went right to the buzzer.
Yeah, I think without picking specifics, I think there have been other games that we've played pretty solidly in the opening weekends from start to finish. But yeah, there's been a few times this year where we maybe kind of lacked some concentration or and gave things up a bit too easy or made some ill-advised plays. Certainly coming off the weekend prior, which none of us were happy with, and we didn't see as an indication of our team. We wanted to get back to working hard and get back to doing the things that we had done early in the season. And I think we certainly did that. I think the team that we saw this past weekend was the team that we feel we have, as opposed to the team the weekend before in Manchester and then the shootout win to Dundee.
Yes, obviously we've had our injury problems. A couple of guys have been out of the lineup, and so far this season, you've brought in Kel Beattie and Max Stewart, 2 youngsters, two very, very eager kids, 2 guys who want to become professional hockey players. What's your thoughts on, firstly, the way they've been training since the start of September and how they've done in the games that they've played?
I think, initially when we had talked about bringing them in, none of us would have pictured that they would have already seen game action this early in the season. But the idea was to get them in, and one, it helps us as bodies in training, but primarily for their development, to be able to be out there with the guys every day and practicing, only will help in their long-term development, which hopefully ends up being, that they play significant, roles on this team further down the line. As we got into camp and other things, we were quite impressed with how they handled themselves and how they adapted. Certainly an adjustment for anyone of that age, but we thought they handled themselves really well. And then, like you said, I mean, we had crazy amounts of injuries and everything seemed to happen at once. And they got in, and the game in Fife, I thought they played well and in limited minutes, and really gave us what we needed, which is we needed some players to step in and fill some minutes for us and take some load off some of the other guys. And then the game at home that they had played, I think they had played, the 2 of them played almost a regular shift and saw quite a bit of ice time and certainly played well. And then Kel again playing the other night and giving us some much needed minutes, and I thought he played well. So I think we couldn't have asked for anything more from what they've brought so far. Hopefully the injury bug goes away and we don't need to call on them too much, going forward. But it's great to have them there in practice and certainly, to have them available if we do need them.
Davy, I'm going to bounce to Twitter if you don't mind. There's been a really good question for you, miss, from a friend of the show, Teal Trooper Daz, who writes in regularly with some great questions. Your history with the Giants, I mean, where does the time go? You go a long way back now. I believe you came here, was it under Doug Christensen in his first season?
It was
your
2010.
Missed the league by a single point that season, then managed to win it the next year, something like that. You took a little break somewhere in the middle there, but you've pretty much done it all until at this point and now behind the bench. Whenever you look back over that as a kind of body of work, both on the ice and on the bench, is there anything that you particularly would look back on with the most pride? A game, a season, an achievement. What is it that has made all of this kind of worthwhile to you?
I think I look back to my second season here when we won the league, and that was, was really special because it was the first time that I had won a trophy here, and we had a great bunch of guys, and it was, I think back to that weekend at home versus Sheffield when we won the league, and it was such a cool experience. So. Your first trophy somewhere is always and it was my first trophy since junior hockey. So didn't win a lot in college and hadn't won, prior in pro coming in, so that was a really special year. The other years that we won, I think was, were just as special. The year that we kind of ran away with everything. And then my last year playing there, the Challenge Cup trophy, going into a hostile environment in Cardiff where nobody really gave us any kind of a chance to win besides the guys in the locker room and the 400 odd Giants fans in the corner. So I think those are certainly very special moments. The moment behind the bench when we beat Liberec there in the CHL was I remember going home and having a hard time sleeping that night because the heart was still pumping from that. So certainly a lot of special moments. I could go on and on about things, and but those are some of the ones that definitely stand out.
Just before we pick up another couple of questions from Twitter, Mace, how many times do you have to charge your phone at the weekend from Adam ringing you on Fridays?
Stewie actually said maybe we should just get him on speakerphone and just leave it running the whole time because it would be a bit easier. But certainly appreciate his insight and his chat and keeping him from going stir crazy. So
there was a little bit of a follow up to Daz Teal Trooper, and we don't really like to talk about this, but you did take a short sabbatical from being a Giants legend, Mace. Obviously, a stint in Norway. At the time, I guess it's been a few years now, and whatever else. Were you looking for a change of scenery back then? What was it that sort of drew you out into to try and kind of plying your trade in Europe and trying it out there?
To be honest with you, I really enjoyed it here and didn't want to leave. But after the season that I had individually, I was kind of felt the pressure of if you don't leave now or try, then you're never going to, you're never going to do something different. And not saying that something different is always right. And it's certainly for me, it wasn't, but there was opportunity there to try something else and go to a different league. And that was really what that was. I kind of felt the pressure that, if not now, then never. And as opposed to looking back and saying, you should have maybe taken one of those or tried that or tried something different. I did. And it wasn't a good fit. And unfortunately, came back and here I am. Not sure that I thought when I came back that I would still be sitting here today, but that's just how it goes.
I think we're pretty glad that you still are, to be honest. I don't think anybody can sort of look down on a pro athlete, and their kind of prime of their career going and trying it somewhere else. I think with, the years that have passed in the hindsight, I totally get it, but I'm definitely glad that you find your way back here to win a few more trophies.
I appreciate that. I'm glad I did as well.
Yes, when you think of it, it's just slightly over 10 years now with the organisation, bar that little break in Norway was just discussed, and I like my numbers and all, but whenever you first signed for Doug way back in 2010, could you have pictured yourself the all-time leading Belfast Giants defensive man and scoring, standing on the bench, coaching the team to great success over the last number of years as well? It's almost a fairy tale.
Yeah, I never, to be 100% honest with you, I never envisioned any of that when I first came over here. For a number of years before that, I had spent 1 to 2 years in places, and kind of my mindset at the time was, I'm going to play and see as many countries and different places and teams as I can while this hockey odyssey is going on. And that was really my mindset coming into it. And came over here and really enjoyed my time in Belfast. Didn't get off to the best start, broke my thumb, whatever, like 5-6 games in, 7 games in. And, fell in love with the city and the people and it obviously, looking back on, I actually said to Stewie when we were going to Fife, when we were on the bus to Fife, the game that Mac was playing, and I looked over at Stewie and I said, Stewie, it hasn't hit me yet, but I said, when I just wrote Mac's name on my game card, it made me feel really old, because when I came over here, Mac was younger than my son Max is now.
Oh my God.
And he looked at me and he goes, well, how do you think it makes me feel? I said, true, very true. But no, it really, none of this was, playing for as long as I did for the team and as many games and then ended up coaching and stuff. It was never on the radar when I came over here. I was looking for a new experience and I certainly got one.
And just before Simon closes out there, we often joke about Belfast's biggest asset are women. Obviously, fell in love, lovely family. We kid now in Belfast as well. It's all just working out. It's all coming up roses, mate.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's what we try to get guys to do now.
It's sort of this. Thanks, Davy.
Oh, sorry, Simon. Sorry, go ahead. You ask it a different way.
No, best not. You just touched on something there, Mace, which is sort of it's. I've wondered this for quite a while. Coming from the States or Canada, and you sort of had the mindset of coming to Belfast, then maybe going on somewhere else, seeing a lot of countries, seeing a lot of teams, playing for different, different organizations as while you could play. Is that a regular occurrence for guys? And then obviously, just as you say, the amount of people that have maybe thought about doing exactly the same thing when they decide to go overseas from North America, make their first stop in Belfast, because at the end of the day, it's the first ice rink closest to the North America in Europe, and then all of a sudden decide to move on. Is that something that guys, right, this is what I'm going to do, and all of a sudden you meet somebody from Belfast, you basically end up getting married, you end up having kids, and you end up staying?
I think there's a lot of people that is their mindset, and a lot of people do that, and they they play in as many countries and as many cities as they can, and have that experience while they can, because there's not those kind of opportunities when you're not playing a sport, or as readily available to you. I think when people come here, they realize how great of a city it is, and really, enjoy themselves so much that a lot of people think, why would I want to go anywhere else? And there's been a lot of players that have come through here that I played with, and certainly since I've been behind the bench, that don't want to go anywhere else and want to stay here. And unfortunately for them, it ends up going a different way. So, I haven't known too many people that have really wanted to leave this city. and we've had some guys go other places and other teams in the league and end up coming back. So it's I think the way things are run and the way the team does it and the way the city is and everything, it's an easy sell to get guys to want to come back.
Miss, I will not keep you all night, I promise. But it's good to have you back on the show.
I stayed up past my bedtime for you guys tonight. This is
really appreciated.
I was putting Max to bed before, and I had to remind myself that I was doing this, or I'd have been asleep already.
It's actually Max that I want to touch on. He's an absolute superstar. The kid's a superstar. He spends a lot of time up in the media box throughout the season. And he took about this jogged my memory when you mentioned him, and I've just pulled it up on my Twitter. But there was a game that we had iced with an empty net goal towards the end of that last season before the pandemic, and Max had this notepad and felt tips, and he was just scribbling. And after we had scored the empty netter, I don't know if you can see this if you're watching on YouTube, but he ran over to me and just plopped this on top of my laptop, and it was a notepad with the words empty net. As if he'd drawn it up. So what about Maxie? Is he a hockey kid? Is he into hockey? Does he want to follow in your footsteps either with skates on or with a clipboard?
You know what? He really is still into hockey. He had kids hockey last night. Plays a lot of rollerblade hockey outside as well. Likes to play rollerblade goalie, and he attempted that on the ice and then gave that up pretty quickly, which I was quite happy about. But he definitely is into his hockey. He's really into. He just got NHL 22 the other day.
Oh, nice.
So he's into that, and he talks to me about, he's talking to me about NHL players and like his salary cap on NHL 22, things that I'm just like. So he's really
better watch himself.
He's definitely convinced that he knows more than me, and sometimes I think maybe he does. I don't know, but he's definitely into hockey still, and he had some friends at the game, not this past week and the weekend before, and the friend's mom said to me, Max took great pride in explaining to me all the rules and everything that was going on in the game. So
the kid's drawing up empty net goals. Do you know what I mean? That was the X's and O's did that. So I know which Mason I want behind the bench in future.
He'd probably be better off. His teams always win in NHL 22. He wins the cup every year. So he is still into hockey. That's for sure.
Let's bring it back to this coming weekend. Obviously, we travelled to Sheffield on Saturday, and then a quick turnaround for the home game against Glasgow, their first game of the season. What are you expecting, especially from the trip to Sheffield? It's going to be a difficult game.
Yeah, I mean, they're a quality side. They've got lots of firepower up and down that roster. They've had good results so far this year. I think that it's going to be a tough game. It's a tough building to go in and play. I'm certainly confident that we can go in and get a good result if we execute the way we know we can and are smart with the puck. So I think that it certainly will be probably to this point maybe our toughest test, judging by their results so far and looking at their lineup on paper. And I think Glasgow coming in on Sunday will be a difficult challenge as well. We haven't seen anything from them, so it's hard to tell, but I think they've built a pretty, rough and tough team that's going to try to maybe push you around and come in and play quite hard. And new coach, a lot of new players, first time out, they're going to come out flying. So I think it's going to be certainly a big challenge for us on the weekend, but I think we've shown that, when we show up and put our best effort out there, I think that we can beat anyone.
Well, I think it's only right that we do our part and say thank you and let you get off to your bed then to start preparing.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Good to see you, Miss. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Miss.
No worries,
Cheers,
guys.
Miss. See you in the morning.
Yeah.
And thanks again to Jeff Mason and to Belfast Giants TV for the fan agenda and to everyone for their questions. Let's move on. Joel.
Yeah, are you gonna laugh at me? Are you gonna laugh at me? Put my glasses on again. I genuinely can't see my notes, Davy. I'm getting
Mace
old.
Mace is talking about getting old. We're all getting old.
Yeah, look, we're obviously. I think we're pretty much going to talk about Dops this week, but just a quick run through your scores over the past week. In the EIHL, in the league, last Wednesday, 27th of October, Sheffield were beaten at home by Coventry 4-3. Friday's game, obviously, your Belfast Giants walked into the Motorpoint Arena, Nottingham, and hammered them 5-0. That Saturday, Dundee put 7 past Guildford in a 7-0 win at home. Sis mentioned it earlier, but some of these results are bananas. They're swinging violently back and forward. And also then Cardiff responded to that loss. Sorry, Nottingham responded to that loss with a 3-0 shutout win in Cardiff. Sunday, the 31st of October, Guildford topped Manchester in overtime 6-5. In the Challenge Cup, then, we're getting to the end of the Challenge Cup group rounds, mercifully. And on Wednesday, the 27th of October, Cardiff beat Guildford away, 3-2 in overtime. Friday, Manchester were beaten at home by Sheffield 7-4. Saturday, in addition to your Belfast Giants, rounding out their Challenge Cup group with a 4-1 win over Fife, Sheffield beat Manchester 5-3. And then on Sunday, the game that we're going to talk about, Coventry and Cardiff. Cardiff ran out of the Skydome 5-2 winners, along with Fife responding with a 5-0 win over the Dundee Stars. So it just keeps pendulum back and forward with these scores. But that's the Challenge Cup groups out of the way, and we finally get into the meat of the season with the Elite League. Those are your scores. David Majemsi, I think we all know what we're going to talk about tonight in terms of league news, so we just get straight into it.
Yeah, go for it.
So the only other thing this week, your Premier Sports Game of the Week is this Saturday, the 6th of November at 7 p.m. in the Drizzle Dome as the Manchester Storm take on the Guildford Flames. So tune in there and join Aaron Murphy, Paul Lady and Caitlin Berry for another great broadcast. I don't know if obviously Paddy's riding the pine this week. So do we have any accompanying music for this? Because we've got quite a lot of Dops this week.
Let's see what happens.
There's no music. There's no music.
But there is footage. if you're watching on YouTube, talk us through it there, Joel, while it plays on YouTube.
Yeah, so a lot of Dops this week. Two of the three judgments from Dops came from the same game. So, Justin, help me with the surname pronunciation here. Is it Harmonic? Harmonic has been fine. Justin Harmonica has been fined and suspended for 2 games on what Dops called a late high hit on Cardiff's Josh Waller during their Challenge Cup game on Sunday. He was assessed a major and a game misconduct interference penalty at the time, which has since been elevated to supplementary discipline due to, quote, the lateness of the high hit and the force of the impact on a vulnerable player. So Dops say about this one that well after the puck is gone, Harmonica delivers a late, high, forceful hit on the vulnerable Waller, who is ineligible to be hit on the play. They say that he has no reason to be expected to be hit due to him not being in the possession of the puck and due to the length of time after the puck has passed through his vicinity, which makes him particularly vulnerable to contact. And they also note that Waller was injured on this hit. A lot of chat about this on social media, a lot of different views on it, and a lot of people saying it was a good, healthy, clean hit. I don't know about you boys. What are you saying?
Simon?
David?
It's absolutely not high for me. And it's very, very borderline on the lateness. Like in real, brilliant watching this in super slow motion, and there's less than a second in super slow motion. So in real time, it's 0.2 of a second. And he's hit. That D-man, Simon will tell you better as a player, he doesn't make that hit. The coach doesn't play him. You know, he has to assume that player's making that puck, and he never once I don't believe he sees that puck being not handled, mishandled, whatever, because he's focused on what he's got to do and make that play. I don't think it's high. I think, if anything, Hamonic has actually gone down slightly to make the contact legal. It's shoulder to chest at worst. Certainly no primary contact, certainly isn't the head. I don't see any contact of the head on it whatsoever. I can see the interference to the letter of the law because he hadn't touched the puck. So I could have lived with a 2-minute interference. I don't think the call on the ice was correct, and I don't think Dops doubling down is correct either. But there you go.
Simon, do you have any hot takes?
Yeah, I do actually. So up until now, the only way I've been able to watch this is on my phone. So you don't really see it. It's a mobile phone. It's an iPhone 10, whatever it is, or X. And I, up until you've basically put that footage on there, well, Patrick's put it on, I thought it was a clean hit. I thought it was well timed. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. But watching this and the way the guys have put this together in super slow-mo, Hamannik does not take his eyes off the player. You can see it the whole way through there. It's definitely not a hit to the head. To me, it's shoulder to shoulder, shoulder to chest, as Davy said. But it's late. He doesn't have the puck. He doesn't control the puck properly. Maybe it's Waller, as he just looks up there, he's got his head up. He's got his head up looking for the play inside, and he doesn't control the puck. So for me, to be honest, I think it's an interference penalty. And that has just changed my mind from watching this on a bigger screen on my laptop in front of me. However, it's the after effect of it. It's what happens in the corner. And when you listen to Stu and Ed on the commentary, you don't get it there, but when you listen to Stu and Ed on the commentary, they say about Davies and Dugan jumping in on him, jumping in on Hamannik. Now, Hamannik's a big boy, and to me, he looks like he just, he connects with both of them after they jump him. You don't see it here at all because it just doesn't develop onto it or it goes on to the play itself. But I couldn't believe. Firstly, I can't ever remember a 5-minute interference penalty. I can't remember that. It must be in the rules. I'm not saying it's not, but I can't remember anybody ever getting a 5-minute interference penalty. And the second part of it, Dugan nor Davies got a penalty for going into the corner after him. Nothing at all. Mickelson comes from the blue line and he gets a 2+10 for the same play. Hamannik gets 5. So ultimately, it's a 3-minute power play for the Cardiff Devils, who I think we're already 3 or 4-0 up at that stage. So even listening to the commentary, Stu and Ed again basically say, he's trying to switch the game. He's trying to give a bit of momentum to the Coventry Blaze. And when you watch that for the first time on a mobile phone, looks like a brilliant hit, but it's late. And he deserved it. For me, he deserved a 2-minute interference call, and that's it. He certainly did not deserve to get a suspension, in my opinion. But when as I say, I'm just watching it here, and I know you need to go and watch this on YouTube if you get the opportunity. The defenseman does not. If I'm playing the day on day, I'm watching my man coming in. I see him coming across. The puck's gone. I couldn't care less about the puck. I'm watching his chest, right in the middle of his chest, because wherever that goes, he's going. He might drop the head either way, but wherever the chest goes, he's going. And he skated right into the middle of Hamannik's shoulder. For me, it's a 2-minute penalty and nothing else. But I can sort of see where Dobbs have come from for it.
Interesting to see the two different sort of opinions, having seen it on a big screen, and definitely if you get a chance, fire up Avftb's YouTube. That's a great slow-mo and definitely the best view of it that I've seen. I could listen to Simon Kitchen analyze plays all day, to be honest, but Davy, we'll move on to the other two DOPS decisions this week if you're happy enough. In that same game, Cardiff's Mark Lewis was assessed a major and game misconduct boarding penalty and has since been fined, and everybody's getting fined these days, and suspended for 1 game following a hit on Blaze forward Matthew Thompson, which sent Thompson into the boards and took him out of the game. Now, Dobbs says that Lewis attempts to close down Thompson in the Devil's zone. However, before he can do so, he passes the puck towards the goal for his teammate, and that while Thompson is initially eligible to be legally hit due to having just released the puck, this check is not legal due to the way Lewis delivers an avoidable hit on Thompson, who is thrown violently into the boards on the play. So is this one a little bit more cut and dry, Mr. Majimsi?
I think Lewis goes a little bit to inflict a little bit of punishment here on the player. I think he's a bit unfortunate that he kind of loses his feet and goes on the board. But, that's an open and shut boarding. So of the two DOF suspensions, I actually think that's a slightly worse play, slightly more dangerous play, because the timing of the first one, it's milliseconds. That one, the puck's gone. Mark Lewis, I think he's trying to take him for a ride into the boards there, but just unfortunately, he kind of just loses his foot a wee bit and gets drilled into the boards. But for me, even at full speed, that's kind of reckless. I think there's a bit of carryover from earlier in the game where we owe you one here, boys. And I think Lewis has done well there. Especially if they're going to levy things like injury on the play for the first one, injury on play for the second one, late hit for the first one, late hit for the second one. It's interesting that one got a 1 game and one got a 2 game. I'm not sure, in my opinion, that Dobbs has particularly got either of them correct.
And as you say there, obviously Thompson was injured on that as well as Waller. I don't care if it's opposition or whatever. You don't like to see guys getting hurt playing the game. So hopefully those guys are okay and nothing too long lasting. Simon, would you have anything to add or disagree with that?
I haven't seen this before. That's only seen or watching it tonight. I actually think that's later on the puck being gone than what it was earlier in the game. Again,
what's later?
You want to stick up for your teammates. Absolutely. I've just literally looked at the game sheet there. You got 5+ match for the penalty itself. So the refs are, I think they made the right call on that one. What did he get for a suspension? Was it 2 games?
He got 1 game.
No, which will be just a match penalty. Gets you suspension for a game, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a naughty play. I mean, you look at it from a perspective of Lewis is a big boy. Thompson, he certainly doesn't look as big as him. And we talk about it an awful lot, Davy. He doesn't protect himself. You know what I mean? Thompson.
Sure what else he can do there, Simon? He can't expect to be hit there.
No, but when you look at it, watch him making the play. Watch. He passes the puck and he's admiring the pass. He's not thinking about, he thinks Lewis is going to skate away from him. Do you know what I mean? He needs to be, one, he could put the brakes on and it's shoulder on shoulder.
We do talk about players' responsibility now in the modern game is on the person hitting and the person accepting the hit. And I agree to an extent there that he has to be a little more careful in what he's doing there, but I still think that's a naughty hit.
It's a naughty hit, but again, it's certainly late. The way he hits the boards airborne, that's going to hurt whether he's coming out from 2 feet or 5 feet from the wall. Lewis just uses his body very, very well. You can see him moving his feet across. He's watching the chest. He's not watching the puck. He takes his man out. I think Thompson probably could have did a little bit better to protect himself in that play. A 5+ game, I think that's the right call from the referees on Dobbs.
I think that in both instances that we've watched there, you're looking at somebody 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 220 against somebody 165, 170. Both instances are a big guy against a small guy, and that's always going to be a factor. But just there where he loses the momentum of the bigger guy hitting a smaller guy, takes him up in the air, makes it look a bit worse. But at full speed, that's a naughty hit, Simon.
Look at it this way. Do you think he's going to do it again? Do you think Thompson's going to come down and mark Lewis again?
For what reason? Because he's going to try and hurt me?
No. But he's going to protect himself the next time.
Maybe, yeah. Well,
of course he is.
In both situations, is the Cardiff player, I can't remember, was it Waller in the first one?
Josh Waller, yeah.
Would he do anything different there? Would he keep his head up? Would he try and spin out? Would he?
When I was watching that on my phone, that's the only time I've watched it on my phone up until today. When I was watching on the phone itself, to me, I thought the kid had his head down. But when you watch on a bigger screen, he just doesn't control the puck. He has a little glance up, and the connection comes in. That's a lot quicker than what that one happens from Lewis. But again, this is where the experience comes in. Josh Waller's a young lad. He's very quick skates. He's very quick on his feet as well. He will know that it's not a good learning curve because from the sounds of it, the kid's hurt. But you never want to see anybody leaving the ice with assistance. You want to see everybody getting up and continuing on with the game. But I think that Waller will be keeping his head up that little bit more going into a battle or come over that blue line once again.
Obviously, would like to hear the opinions of any of the listeners as well. Please feel free to tweet us at Avftb or find us on Facebook and let us know what you think there. I feel like Stephen Nolan here in the middle of Davy and Says, and I could listen to it for ages again, but we'll press on, boys. There's been one other DOPS judgment this week, and there's no video footage of this incident, but Sheffield Steelers' Justin Hodgman and Manchester Storm's Jared Van Wormer have both been fined for an incident at the benches at 51-17 in their Challenge Cup game on Saturday. Hodgman for his actions from the bench, and Van Wormer for failing to proceed to the penalty box as directed. I'd love to know how much these fines are. Absolutely fantastic, because everybody's getting fined these days. But Davey, that is it's DOPS heavy this week, but that is your league news.
Thank you very much, and that lets us move on now to what is going to be a very exciting weekend ahead. Obviously, away to the Sheffield Steelers on Saturday night, 7 p.m. at the Utility Arena in Sheffield. That game can be viewed on Sheffield Steelers TV, and then back to Belfast for a Sunday afternoon matinee performance against the Glasgow Clan in their first outing of the season. And Patrick Smith managed to catch up with new Clan head coach Malcolm Cameron earlier.
How are you doing, Coach? Welcome to the league. I'm coming from more or less a Belfast perspective overall, but I'd just like to first ask, how big do you see this challenge coming in as a first time in the Elite League, and with the roster you've got coming in so late? It seems to be quite a big challenge.
Everything's a challenge. Anytime you lace the skates up and you go and play somebody, it's a challenge. I've coached in a lot of different places in a lot of different leagues. I think I've coached close to 900 games or something in the ECHL and 300 in the Western Hockey League, and now in several countries in Europe, university hockey in Canada. Everything's a challenge. When you walk into a new team, we're rebuilding. We only brought a couple players back from the previous season, and we had a late start with our recruiting, but I was pleased. I got a lot of guys that I wanted to get. Would we like to have started at the same time as everybody else? Well, of course, but you know what? Sometimes adversity, makes you stronger as a group, and we faced some adversity, but all the guys are here, healthy, happy, and ready to go.
Coming in as a first-time coach in the Elite League, how important is it for you to lean on players like Matthew Waugh, Jamie Krukski, guys who have experience within this league?
Well, I know quite a bit about this league because the coaches in the league have been calling me for the last 15 years about players in North America. So, it's a lot of the ECHL players and guys that I knew from the American Hockey League have come over here over the years. So I'm pretty familiar with the league. Certainly not the buildings, but because I haven't been in any of them except for Brayhead. But anytime you jump to a new league, it's there's an initial get to know and feeling out process. But this is my 24th year coach, and I'm pretty calm guy. I don't get rattled too easy.
That's good to hear. When it comes to this league, of course, there are limits on imports and bringing the British players, and you got a lot of young Scots lads, Stenton, Ferguson, Boyd. How are you seeing these guys? Are these guys fitting in well? Do you see these guys coming through and getting a lot of ice time with your team?
It's hard to say it. I mean, training camp is one thing. Game action's another thing, but they certainly haven't, disappointed me in terms of their effort. And the thing, I guess the biggest thing for me is their growth curve and how quickly they've learned, things that they haven't seen before or done before on the ice, preparation work and things like that. They've adapted really, really well. And I'd much take a younger raw player than somebody who's old and on his way out. Because they're a lot more motivated and, they're working hard, they're in the gym. So I'm really pleased with our young local guys and excited.
You made an interesting point there about how, you spent a lot of time in the coast and WHL and coming in here. What sort of parity do you see between those two leagues? Do you feel you're coming into a league that, isn't too far away from what you've coached in before?
It's probably more similar to the ECHL just because, a lot of the guys in this league have ECHL experience. So, and obviously your coach has got ECHL experience as a player. So, similar, it's a lot more physical than some of the other countries that, I've seen. I've been in Italy, I've been in the Urs League, which is Hungary and Romania. I've been to, I've played against teams in Austria and Germany as well. This is a little bit more North American style hockey. There's a lot more physical, there's some fisticuffs and things like that maybe you don't see in the other countries. And therefore there's players on your roster here that can fill that role. when you need to, or in other places you don't have guys that fill those roles. So I see it being very similar to the ECHL. There's quite a few more older players in this league, whereas the ECHL is more of an NHL prospect league now. The NHL's really dumped a lot of money into developing players at the ECHL level, whereas it used to be just the AHL level. So the speed, the ECHL is very fast and similar to the AHL. This is probably more ECHL 7-8 years ago in terms of older players. Older players are smarter, so they don't have to skate around 100 miles an hour because they know where to be and they anticipate the play a little bit better. But it's going to be fun.
Does there need to be a balance there between the older players and trying to develop in that youth? Because obviously here we've had quite a bit of, I don't want to say uproar, but about that there's a perception that there's too many imports and that we're bringing in too many Canadians. But that experience is tantamount to how you bring these young players through at a British level.
Well, you know what? I tried to go out and get guys that had significant pro experience that were under 30. And because older players break down, number one, it's a tough season, especially for us having to play as many games as everybody else in a shorter period of time. So I wanted to make sure I could have players that were durable enough to withstand, the schedule. Also guys that, weren't, you get to a certain age and you're just more worried about yourself. You get a little grumpy and you're not maybe as good as in the locker room with the younger guys as you were 5-6 years before that. So I went out and got guys that are, really good in the locker room, good with the young players, willing to step up and, guide them and advise them and lean on, have them lean on them in terms of development and things like that. So if you look at our team as a whole, we've got, a lot of the 25 to 30-year-old guys on our roster.
One of the guys right in that bracket with the ECHL and the AHL experience is your starting goalkeeper in Shane Starrett. What are you expecting from him this season? Do you think you've brought a star in there?
Yeah, I had Shane as a rookie when he was an Edmonton Oilers contract, and he was fantastic for us. Just got better as the season went on, and had a heck of a playoff for us. And then the following year, he becomes an AHL first-team All-Star. It's unfortunate in the third year with the Oilers, he got hurt and missed significant time because he was projected to be playing in the National Hockey League this year after his AHL, All-Star season. So his misfortune is our fortune, and we're very happy to have him. Shane's a big guy. He's a 6'5" off skates, 6'7", 6'8" on skates, and he fills a lot of the net, and he's very athletic, and he's a very hard worker.
Coming into this weekend, obviously not the sort of pre-season, the build-up that you had wanted, and having to cancel all those games to start against the Belfast Giants, who this past weekend had a great weekend against Fife and the Nottingham Panthers. Of what you've seen of Belfast and what you've seen of your own team, what do you see happening in this game? How do you see your approach to this game being?
Well, for me, being a first game, I'm more worried about us than I am anybody else. If you're confident in your team, then it's going to go out and execute the game plan. And if you can execute your game plan, it gives you a good chance to win. So for me, I'm more worried about us than I am our opponent right now. And that's not a disrespect to anybody or anything like that. And any coach that's been around knows that you got to worry about your own group at the beginning of the year before you taper things to your opponent. The advantage we have is that nobody has seen us. Nobody's seen any video on us. Nobody knows what to expect, coming in. They may think they know our personnel, but they don't know, what our combinations are, what our power play looks like, how we're going to kill penalties. So, teams, we have the advantage a little bit that I'm going to be able to pre-scout the Belfast Giants, but the Belfast Giants and our opponents aren't going to be able to really pre-scout us because they haven't seen us yet. So that's an advantage for us.
Listen, Coach, good luck this season, not so much this weekend, and thanks for your time.
Anytime.
And thank you to Malcolm Cameron and to a very dapper Patrick Smith.
Harry.
All business up top, all jammies down below, but I believe was the order of the day. But some interesting comments there from the new Glasgow Clan coach. Obviously, he thinks that coming in with nobody having seen his roster is going to be a bit of an advantage, guys. So what are you expecting from Saturday, Sunday? Sheffield and Glasgow says.
I hate this part of the show, Davy. I sound like Davy McJimsey here.
Yeah, I agree.
It's another new opponent. The guys will have done their homework on Sheffield for sure. Again, I know Glasgow play tomorrow night, I think it is, against Dumfries. Solway, my apologies. In Dumfries, and then they play somebody the night before us. I can't remember who it is though. But look, again, if they're playing tomorrow night and there's video available, and if whoever they're playing on Saturday night, I can guarantee you that Adam and Mace and Stewie will be doing their homework on Saturday night, even if that means that they have to stay up all Saturday night to get Sunday and put the guys in the best possible order for Sunday. So first, food forward, Saturday night's the game. Sheffield Steelers in Sheffield. It's going to be a tough game. They've started the season well. They've got some good players, have a lot of experience. There's a lot of people are saying they're the team to beat. We're the team to beat. So we've basically got a really good squad this year. Yeah, you've had a couple of hiccups along the way, but I totally agree with what Mia said earlier. If we prepare the right way and we basically do what the system is put in place for, and the guys basically, they come along and get ready to play, then we will give Sheffield a game on Saturday for sure.
Joel, guys my age and maybe older, maybe slightly younger, have our NFNF, our 22nd of October 2002 moment, but seems the younger generation, your top cap tip crowd that you hang about with, are all into this FTC.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's been some spicy back and forths between the two fan bases over the past few years. It's good for the game. I like a bit of spice to be added to the game. The three of us, I know Patrick as well. We all grew up as kids. Obviously, you guys were hockey fans, but you've grown up around kind of football grounds around Northern Ireland and all that kind of stuff. And you like a bit of an edge to a game. You like a bit of an atmosphere, and when games can have a wee bit of spice to them, it makes it more interesting. So I'm all for it. I mean, I to be honest, I've said it before. I'm actually a big fan of the folks behind the scenes at the Clan. I think Gareth Chalmers and Jerry McLaughlin are top guys, and I hope things come together for them and that things kind of chill out and stabilize. But this weekend is really just two extremes, isn't it? You've got really going in against looking at the league table anyway, the form team so far. Sheffield have 10 points out of a possible 14 so far, 7 games played. And not to take your job, Davy, I'd never even think about it, but they have the most goals scored at 27 and the third most against at 21. So they're a high scoring team, but they're also leaking them in at the back a wee bit. So interested to see. I don't think you discredit or you disrespect any opponent in this league, regardless if they've just coming in off a preseason, whatever else. So I would expect, and I know for a fact that the Giants will treat both of these games exactly the same. Go out, put in a professional performance, and batter all around them. Well, if you can get yourself down to the SSE Arena on Sunday, 4:00 face-off, but if you can't, it's always available with our good friends at Belfast Giant TV. And I've heard a rumour that there's a very special guest sitting beside you in the hot seat on Sunday afternoon, says.
You know more than me, mate.
All right, okay. Well, I'll leave that as a secret then. Any other business, gents?
I want to know who it is.
That's just.
Is it you, Davy?
No, it's not me. You'll have to tune in on Sunday.
You have to tune in on Sunday.
I just had a wee WhatsApp bar. Could you send me some stats? So it's something important, like.
All right, okay, that's all right. She's going down that line, is she? That's fine, no problem at all. We'll wait and see what happens. No, it'll be good to have her along and joining me in the game. So we'll have to see what happens. I know you know who it is, Davey. So it's your. Don't worry, I know who it is. I'm just calling him a big girl. Yes, I've got a bit of any other business. I still have this shirt sitting on my kitchen table, and I haven't been contacted to find out who's it going to. Do
you remember, Joel? Was it Jordan or somebody? Or
was Joel somebody? It was Joel somebody, but I don't know any. That's all I know.
Oh, Joel Keatley or something, wasn't it?
Thanks for letting me know. I don't know if we should be discussing that here or should be discussing that afterwards, but whoever it is, get in contact with Davy on Avftb, and we will try and get that shirt to you on Sunday, because it's sitting gathering dust on my kitchen table at the minute.
Joel?
Yep, the only other thing, Simon, you'll maybe know a little bit more about this, but obviously the Belfast Giants OSC, who do fantastic work, the official supporters club, have announced their Giants quiz night, and I believe you're probably the man with the mic, the hostess with the mostest, is on that night, Friday 12th of November at 6:30, and I think it's happening in the new W5 Lecture Theatre.
Yeah, W5 Lecture Theatre, no show without punch. So yeah, I'm in the middle of writing the questions now, and I'm sure Davy will give me a hand to write around as well at some point. But it's more of it's going to be a wee bit of a twist. We did one a couple of years ago for Stephen Murphy's testimonial. So this one, there's going to be 3 teams made up from the boys. They're all going to be there. It'll be the first night that it's going to be a members only night for the OSC. So if you're not a member, you might be able to get in before the tickets go on sale on Sunday from the OSC desk. It'll sell out. There's absolutely no doubt about it. The numbers are limited, and we will do our best to make sure everybody has a good night. So the boys are all up for it. They're starting to get a wee bit. They were asking questions. What are you going to ask questions on? What is it? Or is it general knowledge? Or is it just sport? And I'm not giving. I've told them it's general knowledge with a bit of sport and a bit of hockey in it. So, but there's a little bit of a twist. We're trying to put in a few other wee bits and pieces. We had a bit of a conversation last night with Johnny and Christine, and we're trying to do something a wee bit different and bring something to the table. It's been a difficult year. Normally we'd have at least 1 or 2 events already organised for the OSC, but unfortunately due to the current situation, we're not being able to do that. So this is the first of our events for this year. It's going to be, I say, Friday the 12th, 6:30 at W5 Lecture Theatre. So thank you very much to the guys at W5 for staying behind that little bit longer to let us get the quiz organised. And just another point, I know Joel's already been in the W5. See if you haven't been and you get the opportunity, maybe nothing to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend, or even before you come to the game on Sunday, get yourself booked into W5. It's absolutely awesome.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, I went and stole my 7-year-old nephew out of school to have an excuse to go and see it, but they have really, really leveled up all the way across W5. The actual attractions, the exhibits are just phenomenal. The place looks top notch, and it will be a jewel in the crown of that new pavilion. Yes, the OSC have announced their team captains. David Goodwin, Mark Garside, and Kevin Rain will be captaining their teams. And they say that you should come with your thinking caps on because, as you say, it's a quiz with a twist. So get yourself a membership of the OSC and get yourself a ticket to that because it will sell out. And Sis has absolutely no chill as a quizmaster. You might as well. You bring your encyclopedia with you. Forget about it. But that's
anybody found using their phone will be disqualified.
Well, I'll throw one in here. I'll throw a stat in for the boys to see if anybody actually does listen from the locker room. The goal JJ Piccinich scored after 12 seconds against the Nottingham Panthers last week was actually the 5th fastest goal in Belfast Giants history. Don't you think it's Stevie Thompson doesn't have these stats at his fingertips?
He's writing it down right now.
Threw a message out to the boy. But the fastest ever Belfast Giants goals, there's 2 that were equal. Do you want me to save it for another time, sis? Or do you want to know?
Do you know what? The thing about it is the ones who are going to, it's the players that are answering the majority of the questions. So there is, as I say, there is a bit of a twist in it. I don't want to give too much away, but if you want to give the answer, that's fine, because I know there is some of the players that listen, especially when they're on, because they're a bit vain that way. I know they listen if they're on. And one of the people that was doing an interview earlier on was asking questions today. So, Gary was asking a few questions. Hoogie was asking a few questions. Goody was saying we're sorting the teams out this week. So I think they're trying to strategically pick the smart ones and trying to, coax them into their team. So it'll be interesting to see who comes up with the points. And we'll put a wee trophy together for it as well. And believe you me, the boys will be bragging about this. Bragging rights in the dressing room the next day at practice is something that they'll be looking forward to.
Well, there was 2 goals scored after 9 seconds. We'll tell you next after the quiz. We'll tell you what the answer to those 2 are. Paddy can remind me in a couple of weeks.
What a cliffhanger.
I'll tell Simon, and he can ask the question at the quiz night. But if that's all you guys have,
yeah, it's all for me.
Yes,
we've managed to scrabble through this car crash of an Avftb. me and Says, I've joked about it for years. Me and Coach did when we did these before, Aaron, etc. Paddy is absolutely, I've made it look difficult. Paddy makes it look easy. Hosting, sitting talking about hockey is easy. Getting asking questions and answering them is easy. Sitting doing this, I've obviously proved pretty difficult. So come back, Paddy. I hope you get well soon.
I know you posted earlier on about a photograph, but that's not where you're sitting. I think you're actually sitting in your bathroom. And
I swear,
you're sitting on your B-day, are you?
Sitting on my ironing board, mate. It's all here on the ironing board.
All pro.
So
YouTube exclusive there.
Yeah, that's what the Brigadier reads in bed.
Super job, Davy, mate. You nailed it.
So massive thank you to interim head coach Jeff Mason, JJ Piccinich, Slater, Doggett, Lewis Hook. Happy birthday, Andrew Dickson. To Premier Sports, Aaron Murphy, Paul Lady, Caitlin Barry for the footage, Jan's TV for the stuff from Sunday, and to Simon. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, David.
Mr. Neil, you're up there. Mr. Neil.
Thank you very much, boys.
And
it was a pleasure.
to everybody out there in listener land, thanks for listening. Get in touch at AVFTB on the Twitter, at Facebook. Get in touch. Let us know what you thought of the show. And let's hope you enjoy your hockey, and we'll catch you next time on A View from the Bridge.